wanted to own it. Just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Thank you for coming on my show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I love what you do. How did you get involved with Gen Zers voting?
So I started a chapter of this nonprofit, Gen Z Votes, for the California Central Valley. I kind of found it online. I was looking for something to get involved in, and I kind of found Gen Z Votes. And it was kind of just a nonprofit dedicated to bridging the gap between the youth and the political process, which is definitely needed with the past election and elections to come, to get the youth involved. And I've always had a heart for politics and really anything in that civic engagement realm. And I wanted to just do my part and start something to get people involved in the Central Valley.
So when you were a kid and you saw the different things happening, you couldn't wait to vote. You were like, I want to vote. I know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I just turned 18 in August, so this was my first election voting in, and I was beyond excited because I've seen my parents, in the years voting, and I was like, I want to be involved in that. I want to be able to vote. I want to make a change in my community, and I want to have a say. So right when I turned 18, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. I mean, the process was a little bit confusing at first, which it is for most young people who are getting involved. But I kind of navigated through that, and I helped others who were also voting navigate that process. So I thought it was just really fun.
So who's the first politician you ever met? And that's not for just this election. I don't know if you were a kid. When I was a kid, I met Ross Perot, and I was 9 or 10. He was my height. He's a really little dude. That was a billionaire that ran for president.
Oh
so
God.
Who did you meet, the first politician you ever remember meeting?
Well, I don't think I've ever. Well, when I was in Newport, I saw Ted Cruz, but I didn't meet him. But I think the first politician I met was probably, you could call her, I'm trying to think. I've had so many interviews. I think my first real politician I met was Nick Richardson, probably. And then after that interview, I got a lot of pickup, and then I started interviewing more candidates. But he's kind of the first politician that I've really met. I haven't met any big names, but yeah.
No, that's super cool. And so you said you kind of got involved. You were looking at the chapter. So there was different chapters of Gen Z voters in California, and you kind of started this one, or you got involved with this one. How did it work here in the Central Valley?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of chapters countrywide.
Right.
So Gen Z Votes is based in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
And I kind of talked to the person who ran it there and kind of was like, I want to, start a chapter in the Central Valley.
And you saw there wasn't one here?
No, there wasn't.
So you're the one. Wow, that's so
I'm the
exciting.
California.
I love that. That is really. So you're the California or the Central Valley, or
the Central Valley. So right now I'm the Central Valley, but there really isn't any other chapters in California. There are, but there's not much, pickup there. So I've been the most, you could say, popular chapter in California.
That is so, oh my gosh, I wish I would have done something like that when I was your age. That is so exciting. I love that. So what have you learned from this experience?
I've learned just the ways of the political process. Honestly, when I first started, I knew about voting in history. I knew about politics. I took all those classes in high school. But I didn't know real life politics. I didn't ever talk to a real life politician. I didn't know how elections really worked till I started, promoting that education and putting that information out there on our Instagram. So kind of getting involved in this, I was like, whoa, there's a lot that I didn't know, and now I do, and now I get to share that with all the young people out there that don't know either, that were just like me in that position, not really knowing how to navigate the political process and that kind of thing.
So you had to choose the most controversial election to jump on board with. That had to be something.
I got a lot of interesting DMs and comments on my videos being like, why would you interview this person? They're terrible. I didn't like your take on this. I'm like, well, we are nonpartisan. So if you want to come at me, go ahead. But this is facts. These are facts.
You have some thick skin, because I get that. My age people, I gotten a lot of mail over stuff like that as well. Mm-hmm. And so to deal with that when you're young, were you just kind of how'd you grow thick skin overnight?
Well, it wasn't overnight, I would say, because I do work on a crisis hotline. So I've dealt with a lot of people who are going through very difficult things and sometimes get very angry and, like to cuss you out and tell you that you're a horrible person. And
wow,
so I've kind of developed a thick skin from that. I'm like, you know what? I'm not taking it personal. So those are people online. Say what you want to say. I'm going to do my thing. So, yeah.
Well, what I think is interesting, and you've probably come across that, a lot of people did get involved with this election, but elections past, we had a big drop off, people my age voting, and people. So how do you get, go to get people your age interested in the voting process? Because like you said, there is really confusing. There's a lot going on. A lot of people are like, oh, your vote doesn't count. I'm sure you've heard all those different things. So how do you combat all of that?
Well, in the media right now, they're saying that young people are voting. But that's simply not the truth completely. I mean, in our midterm elections in 2018, it was a 20-ish% youth voter turnout, and now it's down to 18% in our last, it was 28-ish% in 2018, and now in 2022 for our midterms, it was about 18%. So it's really decreasing as the years go on, and people in media are saying, we're voting, the young people are voting. Maybe they're posting that on social media, but are they really getting out to the polls?
It was a 2-hour line wrapped around when I went to the polls, so.
Yeah, so it's like, you say you're voting, but are you really, and kind of getting that information about how to vote? Because, maybe some would think it's self-explanatory, but it's really not. It's a process. I mean, you go to the poll station, you don't know if you're registered or not, if your registration even went through, and kind of getting that information out to the youth about how to register and where to go and what times to go and the deadlines. I mean, they're really easy to miss. You could be like, oh, I missed it by one day. I have a lot going on. I didn't really know when the deadline was, but now I do because, I saw this Instagram post. So it's really important to have that information out there. Otherwise, those people may not know and miss that deadline.
Well, when I was your age, I was really super interested in politics as well, but I still, it was all kind of like who's mayor, who's governor, who's president. This whole city council stuff, to navigate that and figure out the school board and how important that is. How did you get, it must have been a lot, and you got right in there and you met these people, you're interviewing these people. Who could have helped you? I know you talked to the guys in Texas. Who could have helped you and told you, okay, this is why this seat's important, this is why this seat's important? How'd you learn all that?
My computer. Going on and researching really anything about a certain election, what the person and that candidate does and what they will do when they get in office, like what that really means, kind of researching all of that and finding the correct sources, because as we know, some sources are biased or they contain misinformation, so it's really hard to navigate that because you need to look at multiple sources to see what these candidates and these people in position of power really do. And I think kind of just navigating that through research was my kind of way. But yeah.
So now that you started the Central Valley chapter, do you have a group? Do people meet up with you? How do you do it?
Yeah, so I have a few team members that help me out at school, and we kind of do those interviews and behind the scenes kind of stuff. So we do the research and we get voter registration drives ready. We get speeches and really events that we hold or we speak at, those kind of things ready, and just posts, really the information about like deadlines, anything like that. We post on our Instagram and kind of editing those videos and getting everything out so it's easily accessible for the youth.
So how many people do you have in the group?
So right now we have honestly 3 people. So it's very, very small. We're working on getting more help as the kind of months go on. It's very new for us because we started with a small group and we're slowly adding people on, but they're not set team members yet. We're just kind of feeling everything out. So it's definitely difficult, with there only being 3 of us, because there's a lot of work to get done and only so many of us, and only so much time because we are in high school and we do have lives. So it's
And it's senior year, right?
Oh yeah, it's senior year.
So another busy time, and you just let me start on the election, busiest time of my life, and
especially this election. Yeah, it's here's all this information, navigate this. How are you going to put nonpartisan information about this election out or that election out or this candidate? How are you going to talk about this candidate in a way that people won't attack you? And it's factual information. So it's definitely difficult to navigate sometimes with such a small group, but we do it and we get it done. So.
And then it's like also who to go after, because a lot of people are 17, turning 18, and then they didn't turn 18 until like after the election was over. So how did you get like, hey, I want the group of actual voters, I want to talk to you guys. How do you like separate and tell them, guys, okay, this is what we're going to do?
We do definitely separate those who are of age and those who are not of age. We kind of get the information about pre-registration out there, so those 16 and 17-year-olds can pre-register
and they're
vote.
ready.
And we also have like little polling on our Instagram, like who's 18, who's ready to vote, and we can give you that information. Or if you have any questions, really just come DM us, ask us anything you need. So kind of those polls on Instagram. That's how we target that audience.
Treat them like they matter, like because they're potential voters one day.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, you do matter. If you are 16 years old, you can pre-register to vote, and we need to do it.
So, I would have felt so left out. My birthday's in March. I would have been like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I would have.
Yeah, some people, my friends, even people on our team, they're not of age to vote yet. But we still get that information out there. Like, you need to be ready to vote, because maybe you are 17 and you missed that deadline. You'll be 18 in March. But, there are elections. There's midterms. There's the national elections. There's local elections. Things are still happening. You'll have that opportunity soon. And you just got to be patient and do your research and become educated so you can be a good and educated voter, which is very important sometimes. And you don't see that a lot in people. They're like, oh, I'm going to vote for this person because they look cool. We don't want that. We want that person to be educated.
So you start this. How do you get these politicians to take you seriously? How do you get these interviews? Because you're just like, oh, I'm in high school. And then I was like, okay. How did you get them to like, no, we're serious voters. We mean business, and we want to ask you some questions. How did you get to that point?
Yeah, that's a great question, because when I first started this, I asked people to be on my team. I was like, hey, do you want to join this? And we're going to do these interviews, and we're going to kind of get that political information out there. And they're like, how are you going to do that? You're only 17 or 18 years old. Like, who's going to listen to you?
Right.
We're not going to have time to do this. No one's going to care. No one's going to listen. You're not going to be able to output this information in an effective way. Well, I'm still going to try. I'm not going to let just 1 or 2 or 3 people tell me I can't do something. I'm still going to do it. I'm going to be persistent, and I'm going to try my best to get those interviews. So I just, cold emailed, cold called, kind of talked to people who knew these politicians, and hopes for a response. And if I didn't get one, hey, that's okay. But I did get a few emails back, and I did interview those politicians, and we had a great time. And the information was great. Interview was great. So just kind of staying persistent and cold emailing, cold calling, doing really whatever I can to get the information about us and what we want to do out there.
It's really cool. And then when you did get the information, you did do these interviews, how did you circulate that information out there?
So, like I said, we did the little interviews. We edited those and put them on our Instagram.
So people were watching the Instagram,
Yes.
and you made it very like interesting. So they were like, hey, now we could see that. So now we watched it. Okay.
Yeah, we really focused on short form content, because as you know, Gen Z votes and Gen Z voters and
small attention
all
spans.
Those people, yeah.
Quick information we need to
Yeah, I can't even myself. This is kind of embarrassing, but I can't really sit down and watch like a 2 or 3 hour movie. Like, I don't have that attention span.
I think as a society, we've grown a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's the truth. And I really want to get that short form content out there so people can really digest it. Maybe you can watch that whole 2 hour video, 2 hour movie, but are you really digesting all of that information? So like getting that in short form content is so important, especially for the youth, to truly understand. Like, you can watch something, but are you absorbing all the information?
Well, that's so great that they had someone like you to do that, because you actually get it from that perspective too. You're not, I love that. So was it the Gen Z Instagram, or was it your personal Instagram, or did everybody share it on their Instagrams? How'd you get it out, like, as far as that goes?
So yeah, we have our Instagram, and we kind of reposted all the things, all the interviews, all the information, but kind of reaching out to people in my school and be like, hey, this is what we're doing. If you want to share with friends or share with anyone else, go ahead. It's really great information, especially for those who are 18 years old or 16 and are going to pre-register to vote. So kind of pushing that information out there on my personal and our team members' personal Instagrams, and getting other people to repost it. And I think
I love that.
Yeah, it was great circulation.
So what is the Instagram so we can all follow it, or Facebook? What are the pages that we should be following for the Central Valley chapter of Gen Z Voters?
So our Instagram is Gen Z Votes CCV. So Gen Z Votes California Central Valley. Our tag is Gen Z Votes CCV. And we also have a website, genzvotes.org. And you can go on there and you could click and you can see all the chapters on that website.
That's really cool. Okay.
So you can see what other states are doing and how they're kind of navigating the political process. And I think it's really cool to like watch everyone and see what they're doing.
So what do you plan to do after all this? Like with college, and what do you want to study? What do you want to do?
So my goal is to obviously go to college, and I want to major in political science. I'm not sure what I want to do with that yet, but I know I want to go to law school and maybe dip my toes in some sort of like policy making. Or I've been asked, oh, do you want to be a politician? I'm like, oh, after these interviews, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like it's hard work, but
you were out there going door to door doing you really went for it. So you're like,
I'm like, maybe that's a possibility, but I want to dip my toes in everything because I want to, see what I like and see what I don't and go from there, because I don't want to be set on one thing and then not like it. And that's, my career. So I just want to try everything out.
What have you heard about as far as making a difference with this election? What information did someone hear where they got triggered? Okay, I do want to vote for this candidate. I didn't know anything about it, but after what I heard from you, now I think I want to go for this candidate. What have you heard in regards to that?
Well, when I talk to younger voters, the first thing I hear is my voice, my vote doesn't matter. I'm 16, I'm 17, I'm 18. What does it matter? I live in California. Why does my vote matter? Well, let's focus on local elections. A lot of people, I ask them about, Nick Richardson, Janet Kardashian's for school board, Molly DeFrank for school board, or like Gary Bredefeld, those local candidates. And they're like, who is that? Who's that? I'm like, there isn't just the presidential election happening. There are local elections, and these elections directly affect us. I mean, even more or faster than those national ones. So kind of putting an emphasis on those local elections and be like, well, if you vote in this local election, there's only so many people who can vote in that territory. And your voice does make a difference. And those city council elections really affect our city and the outcome of policies. So kind of telling those students and those young voters that these local elections do directly affect us and your voice does matter in the sense that you would be voting in that election.
So you got people just to know who everybody is.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I went around and I was like, hey, I'm doing these interviews if you want to go watch. Like any second I had to network with someone or be like, have you heard about Gen Z Votes? And they're like, oh, Brooklyn, I've heard you talk about this a million times. I just really try my best to get that information out there to anyone who may be interested or who just doesn't know about local elections or anything like that. I mean, our Janet Kardashian interview got a lot of pickup because she was such a prominent figure in our schools. And I think with the last name Kardashian, anyone's going to be interested. So that kind of got a lot of pickup there and kind of gave us a lot of viewers. So
I love that. That is really awesome. Well, thank you for what you do. Everyone's got to subscribe.
Yes, go follow us.
Oh my gosh, that's great. I can't wait to keep up with what you're doing. What's your personal Instagram? If we could follow that, or personal, and so we could see what you're doing, keep up with you, where you're to school and everything.
My personal Instagram is just Brooklyn Senneway, and if you just want to look that up, you can find me and see what I'm doing, where I go to college, and what I end up doing for my career. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I love talking.
Joi, I'm so excited you're here today.
Likewise, Sparkle, this is amazing.
You do some cool stuff, so tell our viewers what you do.
So what Community Vision Capital Consulting is a community development financial institution, or CDFI for short. What we do is commercial real estate lending with the nonprofit lens. So we really do lending for organizations that are looking to buy the building that they do the work in. Community Vision is very, in tune with communities that normally don't have the resources to really do that, to own their building and have the funds to make things happen. So we help bridge that gap on real estate and social justice and all that. So to make sure that they can purchase that building, because most organizations have a hard time doing that.
Are you allowed to say anybody that you've helped, any businesses, or that you don't want to be said?
I mean, we've helped like Boys and Girls Club.
Okay, so that's stuff like that. That's what I figured. So I just wanted to kind of give people a name of
We've helped Boys and Girls Club, Marjorie Mason Center. We've helped.
Oh wow!
Like that. So I mean, we've worked with a lot of different organizations that are nonprofits, but still want to buy a building. We've helped school districts. We've helped organizations like advocacy organizations. We've worked with a lot of community medical type centers. So like the small clinics, we've helped a lot of those up and down the Central Valley.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So, and I bet I know you've been doing this for a while, but I bet COVID was kind of a game changer, because that's when people really saw the value of owning the business you do business out of.
Yeah. COVID was a game changer on a couple of different levels. So I've been in community development for about 15 to 20 years. I've been in Fresno for about 20 years. And I really, kind of fell into the lending aspect of it. I love it. I love what I do. But I learned when I first started working in Fresno, I worked as at the Small Business Administration, the Small Business Development Center, working with small businesses and helping them understand how to make their business successful. So I was a consultant. I worked for the SBDC for 10 years. Just understanding the background of just running a small business, knowing a small business, the finances, marketing, all of it. And then after that, I worked at a bank, my first CDFI, and then I went to a conventional bank. And I realized me and for-profit work just weren't going to work out, because most conventional banks really only think about their bottom line. And my moral compass would not let me do that. My moral compass was all about, just because they can have the loan doesn't mean they need the whole loan. And with the commercial bank, they really wanted me to push that, they were given the $150,000, they approved for that, give it all to them. I was like, that's actually not a good idea, though. They don't need that. So, moving on to being at a CDFI, and especially during COVID, when people were, going back home to work and things like that, it was very evident that a lot of businesses, because rent was, I was like, oh my God, nobody's even at the building, and we're here, we're renting this building. So a lot of organizations decided to, let's buy the building, and when we decide to go back, now we have an asset. Or let's have a building, buy a building, and rent that as workspace at another time. So there was a lot of changes that happened during COVID, with real estate especially.
I love that you had these different backgrounds, because I bet everything made you that much more powerful in this job, because you're probably telling people so many things they just have no idea about. What's one of the biggest things that people have said was a misconception, and then you said, oh no, this is what's available to you? What are some of those?
So everyone thinks there's grants. Everyone thinks, oh my God, do you have grants? Are there grants available? Can I get this grant? I'll be the first to say there is not a grant tree, and grants are available, but you must have a very specialized product or service. If you're not curing cancer, or if it's not something that has not been thought of before, there aren't many grants available for it. Yes, there are some woman-owned business grants and things like that, but they're very small,
and they're small. And you're not getting the business paid for from a grant.
You're not buying a building with it,
right?
Those type of things. So I've been really, I've been really tasked with having conversations with people that don't understand that you really have to work for it.
So you burst their bubble in one way, but you give them hope in another way.
Right,
So
yeah.
what are some great things that you teach people that they had no idea about, like how accessible they can do it? What are some of the things you've taught them?
So understanding your budget, so really getting into the weeds of your budget and knowing that. I've taught a lot of people on how to really be diligent about your budget. Working with organizations and working with even just consumers, I've had to sit down with them and do some real soul searching on their budget. And they've been very resistant sometimes. But then sometimes like, oh my God, I had no idea, that this QuickBooks can help me like this. I've just that sort of stuff, or else even talking to them about, okay, well, PG&E will give you a rebate on this type of thing if you have this.
That's huge right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest money saver. That's almost as good as giving somebody money.
Exactly. So that type of
Saving
stuff.
money sometimes is better than giving people money.
Exactly. So things like that. So just being very conscious of what's available to people, what kind of services are out there. I keep my ear to the street on what kind of deals are going on with different things, especially with PG&E. Especially with different tax incentives that are out there. I really have to be aware of what's going on, because when people say, hey, I want to buy a building in this area, I need to understand, okay, what kind of tax incentives can you get for buying a building here? Because if it's a historically utilized building, there's a tax incentive for that. If it's a building that's going to need, a lot of renovation, we're working with someone right now in Fulton, and their building is going to have it has asbestos, it's all kinds of things to it.
It's pretty much a redo, a very big redo.
Huge. But the EPA actually has grants for those type of things to completely renovate your, millions of dollars to renovate. And you can apply for those if you're a nonprofit.
So it's almost worth it.
It's worth it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I'll work with an organization on gap funding. So say they got the $3 million from the EPA. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, the entire project's going to be $7 million. I can come in and say, okay, if everything else lines up, we can come in with $4 million so you can buy that building.
Oh, that's a big one, the gap.
Yeah, the gap. Yeah. So we really like to meet our clients where they are. So we're not going to, make them jump through 1,010,000 hoops. We really want to meet them where they are and kind of work through them to make sure that they can actually have this building and, the work is done good. That's what it comes down to.
So at what point do people come to you? Do a lot of people come to you before they even start a nonprofit, or most of these are existing nonprofits that are coming to you at that point?
We really work with existing nonprofits, because when you're looking at buying a building, you've pretty much been in business for a while.
Yeah.
We don't do a lot of startups.
Okay.
No.
You better have some of your stuff together before you come to me.
Right.
Okay.
We really need to have, that 3 years of financials is a must.
So kind of like buying a house almost.
It really
you want to
is.
have that history. Okay.
Yes, it absolutely is. We really need to see that you've done your due diligence. The building that you want or that you're looking at purchasing actually fits into your budget. I've had quite a few clients come to me and say, hey, I'd love to buy this building. I was like, well, can you afford this building? And they're like, well, I don't know. So I have to work through them with that on a whole, capital campaign, a budgeting campaign. So when organizations have actually done the work in their building for, say, 10 years, and now they're like, hey, we really want to buy this building, and their landlord says, no, we're not going to sell it, then they come to us and say, we've outgrown this building, we really want to own a building, can you help us find one? Community Vision can actually help them find a building that works for them. We'll work through all of the lease agreements and things like that. We'll work with them.
That's great. Like that. So you're kind of okay.
It's consulting and capital. We just don't give them the loan. We can actually consult them through the entire project. So
that's so helpful. Do you ever help people kind of like on the brinks of, I need to grow and do this and own a building, or I'm just not going to do this anymore? Do you get people to a lot of that point where you're kind of like,
well, we get that.
We all get at the end of our rope at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. We get that. But if they're at that point, I never want them to feel like taking on a building is not going to make the other problems go away. Because sometimes it's like, oh, I just need to get a building. That's not necessarily going to help you. Because if everything else is already falling apart, buying a building isn't necessarily going to be the answer, end all be all. So what we like to do is kind of discuss, okay, so you're really at a junction here. So why are you at the point where you feel like you need to buy a building, or you're done? And we kind of talk through it and find out where that's at, where they feel like they need to whether it's okay, well, maybe I don't need to buy a building. Maybe I just need to, expand where I'm at. Or maybe I need to scale back. And a lot of times that's enough.
So, do you get people where they're kind of good, they kind of have their stuff, and you're like, hey, you need to do these steps and then come back to me in 2 years? Do you get those?
Absolutely. So we usually do, it's not a no, it's just a not right now.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we do a lot of that. And usually it's because their cash flow is a little weak, or maybe it's not, the collateral is not there. If the building that they're looking at purchasing doesn't necessarily pass the environmentals, that's an issue. We've had a couple of clients that would come to us and there's been an issue with the building not passing code. And we can't lend on a building that does not pass code.
Really?
So if there's issues there, or if the project's not feasible. We've had a couple of different clients that came to us and their project just wasn't feasible. It just would not pencil. So they wanted certain things done, and as professionals, we understand like that's not something that's going to be able to work. That's not, and we tell them, we're like, I think it's time for us to reevaluate what your project looks like, because this isn't going to work. This isn't something that we can do. But then we have those that work out perfectly. We're working with a couple of the different community development land trust here, and we help them with different land sites that they're looking at purchasing. Community development corporations that are here. We've helped Lowell CDC here in the Central Valley quite a few times, and working with them on some of their projects to help those at-risk individuals in our community that can't get housing. So we do a lot of multifamily housing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but now it's a niche because we work with community development corporations that are buying multifamily homes. They're the manager. We actually will lend to them, and they manage that home, and then they rent it out, or they manage the apartment complex, help build it out, and then we rent it out.
So it follows the code of being commercial property.
Yes.
Because there's multiple.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we help organizations do those things, and from build out from ground to completely done, we help them work through it.
So then you also get people on the other side that have properties that they want to give, and then they come to you as well and like, okay, now I have these properties, or not so much?
Not so much. When we have people that have properties, usually they're wanting to do tenant improvements on them. So they're wanting to do things like, hey, we want to bring this building to a net zero stage, or we want this building to be we need to add solar, or we want to completely fix the roof on it, things like that. So people who have property already, we work with them absolutely, but it's a different type of deal. It's not.
So they're never like, hey, I'm looking for, if someone wants to buy this.
We've gotten some of those, but we're not a broker. So
right. So you're just in the.
We are lenders. So what we will do is we'll be like, so if you're looking at selling it, we do have referrals that we send people to that we worked with before, but we're not brokers. So what we do is very much on the lending side of it.
That's great. So people need to come to you when their business is developed, been around for a while, their nonprofit's developed, and then come to you around that point.
Yeah. So again, it's more of a very niche. If it's a nonprofit, if you've been in business for a while, 3 years at least, and you're making some revenue, and you kind of understand where your next steps are. We have organizations that come that don't know what their next steps are, and they're kind of just, I think I need a building. Well, what makes you think you need this building? So
what's your jurisdiction, really?
So we are actually headquartered in San Francisco. Okay, but we work from Sacramento. We've gone farther than Sacramento. So we've gone up the Northern California coastline. So Redding all the way down to Bakersfield.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do people ever relocate in that?
Oh, yeah.
So you've got a lot of relocations where you help them. And what about people that have the multi-buildings?
Yeah, absolutely. So usually the multi-buildings and the multi-family units, those are normally, like I said, CDC, so community development corporations that have purchased these old apartments, old hotels, and turned them into family units for people at risk of homelessness and things like that. And they've literally turned them into senior cottages, senior living. We're working with organizations now, they're doing tiny homes and putting tiny homes on land. So, we've worked with a big array, an array of individuals and organizations that are interested in having property.
Well, I know it seemed like it was so much deeper because you really help people like start to finish, this and the other. Because you've worked with all these organizations, do you ever give like personal advice kind of with their company? Like, hey, you could do this. I worked with an organization that did this and this worked for them. Do you give them advice like that sometimes?
I do, but I try to stay clear from, because I don't want to get myself in trouble. So I try so I try to stay clear from just personal advice. Usually I'll give an anecdote. I'll be like, you know what? A good thing would be, if you're looking at doing that, I've worked with an organization that has done this in the past, and it worked for them. Yeah,
exactly. That's
something like that.
I understand that, but
something like that. I don't necessarily say, hey, you should do this.
Yeah, because you just happen to know and hear what, so you just have this knowledge that.
Right. So it really is a little bit of dance to, okay, I can't just tell them what to do, but this is what would work for them, or this is what would not work for them. I've had to tell a lot of people, no, that's not a good idea for you right now. Step back and come back in 2 years.
So with all of this, have you thought about opening up a nonprofit, or you're like?
So fun fact, I have a nonprofit.
Okay.
I do have a nonprofit. My nonprofit has nothing to do with real estate, has nothing to do with anything businessy really. I have a bird sanctuary.
No way!
Yes.
That I was not expecting that one. Wait, where's this? I want to tell me about this. This is too funny.
So it's at my house. So I have a bird sanctuary. It's I have about 75, 80 birds right now. Your mouth is open. So it's a bird sanctuary. And I have like 11 peacocks right now. I love this. I want to come see it. So it's the Central California avian mermaid bird rescue.
So that's your passion?
That's my passion. So I'm a professional mermaid in the summertime, and I have birds.
What's a professional mermaid?
So a professional mermaid is someone who you can hire as a mermaid. So I have a full-on I have tails and everything else that I know.
You are the most interesting human being alive.
we've gone completely left.
This is fun.
But yeah, so I actually have probably about a dozen tails that people hire me. I've been hired to do birthday parties. When The Little Mermaid came out, I was booked and busy.
Hell yeah, that is fun.
Yeah, to be their personal mermaid at their pool or whatever. So it's a very, very interesting. I've met some very interesting individuals through this. We have a boat, so I'll take the boat out and I'll be in my mermaid thing on the boat and doing that. So yeah.
That is so cool.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So how do people get a hold of you for any of these? And now it's like, I know what I want to do for my next birthday party. I thought having like a flamethrower was fun, but this is...
have a mermaid and a bird. I have parrots. I have macaws.
So you'll bring them out as well for the parties?
Yeah, I can.
What's your favorite bird?
So my favorite bird right now is Tiki. He is my macaw. He is a blue and gold macaw, and he is about 8 years old. He talks. He says all kinds of things. He's super friendly. So he's sweet. He's a very sweet.
I wish you would have brought one of them today. That's so funny.
I'll have to come back.
We'll come back.
Yeah, I'll have to come back with the birds. It's just such a fun thing. I mean, birds are so. People think they're so mystical. I was like, not really, but they're fun to have. They're exciting. They keep you young. I enjoy my birds and I enjoy my mermaiding. So, yeah.
Okay, so where do we get a hold of you for different things? You have like an Instagram or Facebook, the one for the professional stuff, and then the fun stuff.
So my 9 to 5 is Community Vision Capital Consulting, and they have an Instagram. It's Community Vision Capital Consulting CA on Instagram.
And then they could just highlight if they want to talk to you directly.
Absolutely.
You saw that. Put that.
Yeah. And my personal is at Joi2Fine, so it's JOI, the number 2 FINE, and that is on Instagram as well.
So then we can talk to you about birds and mermaids on that one. So
birds and mermaids on that one. Yeah.
Oh my! Thank you so much for coming here today. You were so awesome.
Of course, Barbara. Anytime, whenever you want. So yeah.
Thank you guys for coming out today. I love anybody that's going to come and get me drunk. So
thank you for having us on.
Absolutely.
So we have 2 different things here. We've got some cognac. We've got wine. So Marlena, tell us about the Crybaby wines.
So I'm Marlena, and I work for Crybaby Wine. I work for Joe Guerriero, who created the Crybaby wine line. And we started with the the first Crybabies. Okay. Then we ventured. He got really sick during COVID. He had to go to the hospital.
Oh no!
Do you remember Uncle Joe got sick? And then they wanted to put him on pain pills. He didn't want to be on pain pills. Then they put him on CBD. He wanted to take CBD. He didn't like the taste of it. He didn't like this. He didn't like that. He's like, I'm gonna put it in wine. I want to drink wine. So
that's the medicine
he
he knew.
created his own little medicinal CBD wine.
Oh, I'm sure people love
no
that.
No alcohol.
So just CBD. Interesting.
It's just it started out as wine, and then we took the alcohol out and we put a water soluble CBD and CBG. So this is helping people that don't want to drink alcohol. Just a different way to get the CBD.
You know, that would be a good gift for so many people I know.
This
actually,
is a really
that's
nice gift.
Pretty interesting.
Then we started to collaborate because the Crybaby is from the Bronx. He was born in the Bronx. So
because that was him as a baby, right? He was a crybaby.
His dad would come to California, get grapes, and then bring him back to New York, and then he would sell the grapes. So when he finally decided to make a business out of it, he came to Fresno and he opened up a packing house, and then he put his little baby on the label of the crates, and it's been there since 1954. And then in 1 year he created a wine line, and then most recently we collaborated with Chaz Palminteri, who wrote The Bronx Tale and starred in The Bronx Tale opposite Robert
movie.
De Niro.
Right.
This is a great wine. He's carrying it. He has 2 restaurants in New York. He's putting it in all the grocery stores over there. He's doing really well.
Interviewed Joe D'Onofrio one time too. He was in The Bronx Tale. So.
Oh really?
Yeah. So.
Wow. Where did you find him?
Where did I find him? Online.
He's here?
No, we actually did virtual. That was during COVID. So during COVID, there was a time we just did virtual interviews.
Oh,
so glad we're face to face now. But he was great, and we've stayed in touch, and we work together.
Would you guys like to try some Chaz
I'd like
wine?
to start. So when did he? 2020 is when he created that.
Mm-hmm. It took a couple of years for him to.
Thank you.
That COVID, the year that we all drank.
That's when the grapes. Okay, you guys, salute.
That was good timing for him.
Salute.
Salute.
So now, where do you sell this? So you guys partnered up. How does that work?
Well, he's bringing it to New York.
Very good.
He's distributing it in New York, and now it's my job to distribute it on the West Coast.
So when you're out with the Crybaby, you're like, here's another addition to our our wine family over here. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then we have my friend Johnny.
Old friends.
Okay,
yeah,
so how
Marlena.
did you all meet? You gotta tell our viewers how you all became friends.
This was probably, I don't know, 20 years
young.
ago?
I was
20
young,
years ago when you guys had the restaurant?
We had the
They were
restaurant.
10.
Yeah, exactly. This is when I had a little darker hair.
Still in my 20s.
Right. So we met about that time in that era was about
90s.
by the 90s and so forth. And I had set up distribution with my distributors in California, several different states. And basically, I set up distribution with Stefanelli out here in Fresno. And they do a terrific job. We're in right now with our cognac product with 5. They pour it there. Elbow room and so forth, so many different areas. Even the red room that's just opened up. It was just. Have you been to the red room yet?
Not yet. I wanted to. That's on my list.
That's great.
Nice.
I haven't been there yet. I know I actually haven't been there yet, but I know all about
It's
it.
nice. They have music on Wednesday
Absolutely.
nights.
That's where I want to go. I want to go to music
It's really a
night.
cool place. It reminds me of New York in the 80s days, you know?
Okay, so how did a New Yorker end up with a product here in Fresno? How did all that happen? How did you cross that?
My family wanted to move out to California from New York.
They got tired of those cold winters.
The snow. It really is. I'll tell you, it gets brutal.
No, I know that because I love New York so bad. I want to move there, but yeah, that's a big hindrance.
We're used to California weather.
Yep.
Exactly. I mean, it's too cold out there, and my family said either you're going to stay back in New York, and actually was doing television business over there with Channel 13.
Love that.
Helping raise money for March of Dimes Birth Defect Children. I do a lot of fundraising. Even Roosevelt School of Arts out here in Fresno, we've done that. Oh, we've done tons of tasting with John Austin at ESPN. That was ESPN One Putt. So we've done a lot.
And you started as a child actor, right?
I was. I never stuck with the acting, but I'm here today. I actually act every day. Yeah,
Oh, look at this.
So we're in distribution in about 5 different states right now: Florida and California and Las Vegas, Arizona. We opened up New York, Texas soon. And I love coming out to Fresno. I also have a place out here in Fresno and also in Calabasas where I travel constantly.
He's always traveling.
Always constantly traveling. You know, it's knocking on doors.
And then you guys met at your family's restaurant back in the day. So that you had your products, you were sold there, your alcohol was sold there.
Well back.
Yeah, you knew my dad and my mom,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then our viewers, what was the restaurant that you guys had?
Julia's and BB's. Did you never went there?
Great
huh?
food.
I know. I mean,
Great
I've
food.
never really heard of
It
people.
was
So yeah, that was
a
just so long. Yeah,
great restaurant.
that was before I was drinking
It was so beautiful. Yeah. No, I wasn't. No.
No, that's great. So then now your focus is wine.
Now my focus, but my family's in the restaurant business.
There still are. So
Yeah.
what do they have now?
They have De Chicos. They have 5. Ovidios. Andiamo. Who else?
You did Pat with 5.
Pat
and all
with
that jazz
5.
guys.
Yeah. Andiamo. De Chicos. And then friends of the family like Mike's Pizzeria and Mamma Mia's. They're lifelong friends of they're like my cousins too.
Great meatball sandwiches at Mamma Mia's.
they're
Holy
amazing.
moly.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah, that's some great. They've been here too. There's been some great food.
Exactly.
Okay, so these are the wines that we had. These are the ones that you guys have. The 3 wines and this one, or is there a bigger selection?
No, I
as
have
well?
a bigger selection.
So how many wines do you guys have?
I
now?
have a Crybaby Cab, Old Vines Inn, and this 2017, lately I'm getting a lot of compliments on it. It's just a great year. It's just developed into a great wine. We have Chardonnay, Pinot Grigio, Red Blend. Chardonnay, I said. And then we have Chaz. And then we have 4 different flavors for the CBD. Sangria.
You actually have 4 different flavors for
I have
the
a
CBD wine?
sangria. I have a rosé, this one. I have a Chardonnay blend and a Cabernet blend.
So Christmas is coming up. It's the holiday season. Where can we go if we want to order in bulk, order for like the friends and family? Where do we go?
You would go to, for bulk, you would go to crybabywine.com. But then I am in some, certain locations. Whoever will accept me in their locations.
Okay, so because you're doing farmers markets.
I'm loving the farmers market at Tesoro Viejo.
Yeah, so you're
That's
doing
where you and I
yeah, we
caught up.
connected. So you're doing stuff there, so then they can come if they want to just get a few. They can come talk to you first. Say, hey, I'm going to come out tonight. I'm going to grab some bottles.
Absolutely.
I don't know what bulk means to you, but I have
Like a
friends that like
case.
to get a case.
If you want to buy a case and then just
You might as well, right? It's cheaper to buy a
might
case.
as well. It is.
You get a case deal
You
there.
get a deal.
How many come in a
get a
case?
deal, and then if you pay cash, you get an even better deal.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding.
nice. How many come in a case? 12?
12.
Why buy less than 12?
Exactly.
That is really awesome. And then this you're selling, when you sell all of the other wines, we're also using the Chaz as
Very
well.
good. Loving
Yeah.
the Chaz.
You can purchase all of our wines and on crybabywine.com. And if you live in Fresno County area, we will deliver for free to your door.
That's good. Well, we also come to you too.
But I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like if
that's
you
actually really
if
cool.
you don't know where to go or where to get it, you can always just
And then
go
we
to-
can get different ones in a case, right? Can I get a case with like 4 different wines?
If you
or
call
no?
Marlena, she will
Okay.
make it happen.
That's good. That's all we need to know. What's your
I
phone?
will make it happen.
What's your phone number then? Where do we get a hold of you?
Well, okay. You want to do that?
Oh, we could do that, or we could do Instagram, or what's your good?
Instagram.
What's a good way to get a
I
hold
would
of
go
you?
through Crybaby Wine California on Instagram, but if you Google me, my phone number will pop up.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it will pop up now. Anyone can have my number now. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so what do we got over here with the Cognac?
This
Man?
is the big. Check this out. now.
Well, this is a patented bottle that I have here. It's
This is
a world
so
patent.
cool.
And it's called Grand Pommier Cigar in a Bottle is the product here. And it's a 10-year-old cognac. It's a blend. And it's very, very special because there's actually a cigar inside the bottle, which is called a Vartan Selective, Reserva Selective cigar, which you can't even purchase behind basically on retail market. You can only get this particular cigar in a bottle. So every bottle is numbered, and on the bottom you can see there's a sticker and there's a numbered bottle here. So what we do is we pull off the sticker here, and then you have a humidor that basically keeps the
Oh
cigar
my goodness.
That is so cool.
at the right temperature for 10 years. So now you can have your cognac
That's
and your
beautiful.
cigar too. So basically we have the products in many different retailers, and they call it on-premise and off-premise. On-premise means that they can pour the product, the last person to get the last shot gets the cigar. And then on off-premise, they could purchase the bottles. Like, for instance, at the Elbow Room, they could purchase bottles there. And if they actually go into our website, cigarinabottle.com, we have a list of retailers in Fresno that they can go and pick up. And we only have 17 cases left for the entire country. So, guys, it is very, very limited. It's a great
goodness.
gift. It is a fantastic gift for graduation, any type of Christmas coming up, holidays.
What happens when they run out?
We're make more.
We're gonna make more. So we're gonna.
But not that blend, not the 10-year-old.
10-year-old blend. We're gonna make it again. Absolutely. We're veering out to rum. We're veering out to, I think, maybe another brandy.
So did we get to try this? I feel
Absolutely.
bad. I feel so bad making you open your bottle. Okay, we'll do this. We'll do this one. That's perfect.
This is the tasting bottle.
I don't want to I don't want to ruin the beauty right now. It's like some things are too beautiful to eat or drink, and that's definitely.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so what made you think of that? To me, this seems like such an obvious thing to do.
You know.
But you thought of it and you patented it. So kudos to you. So where did that come from?
I know, isn't that cool?
Basically, I was in a liquor business before this particular process here, and I used to import from Glasgow, from Scotland, different products. And then I teamed up with Carlos Fuente, which is one of the most renowned cigar makers in the world. And we teamed up and we actually did a project together with the first cigar in a bottle that was a 10-year anniversary of the Opus X cigar, which is one of the most sought-out cigars in the world. And the 10-year anniversary of that is the Forbidden X that was in the first bottle. So how this all came upon is because everybody forbid him to take the seeds from Cuba to Dominican Republic to grow them there, and they forbid him. They said the soil contents, it's the same, it's not going to work out. After Carlito showed them all off at a 10 years anniversary cigar, we ended up putting that inside the bottle. And I was a little surfer in his wave. And when we got into that market, it just exploded. It really exploded. So we were in probably every magazine you can think of that has to do with cigars and liquor around the world. From either Russia, Spain, the whole world.
When did this come out?
The first product came out in 2004.
Okay.
And we had that out for about 8 years. This particular product came out Grand Premier at 2014.
That is so impressive.
Thank you. So let's cheers to great health,
Salud.
success, and happiness.
Always.
Okay.
I love it. Thank you. Do I dare to ask how much a bottle like this costs?
You know, depending on different retailers,
my God, that's so
anywhere
good.
from $200 to $325 a bottle.
How smooth is that?
When you think of something out of the box that you want to get someone, or want to be impressive, or want to get your bottle, I mean, that's, you know what I mean? It's one of those things that, you know.
A lot of work, like, you know, as doing your business here.
Oh, my goodness.
A lot of pounding on the pavements and so forth. A lot of tasting shows, and we still continue to help raise money. We like raising money for many different organizations, from Cancer Society, falling police officers, and 999, on and on. It gives me pleasure putting a smile on another person's face. It's not all about the money.
Well, that's my justification for drinking it. Knowing we'll buy a bottle is knowing you're helping.
Exactly, you're helping.
Exactly. I hope you enjoyed it.
So you were you're Armenian at the time. You mind telling our viewers a little bit about your history and all the things your mom done? Because that's most of our community is.
Well, I would say 99% Armenian, but I still got to do one of those DNA stuff.
Oh, 99.
But we, my mom and dad were very heavily involved in the Armenian society and culture. My mother was an Armenian teacher, a principal, and we helped raise money by having a theatrical group called Sevan in New York and Canada and all over the States. And we used to help raise money for the Armenian orphans. As you know, there was a genocide in 1915. Over 1.5 million Armenians were massacred. So we're trying to get over that situation, of course. It's heartbreaking. But we always helped raise money for many organizations. And we opened up one of the first Armenian schools attached to a church called Holy Martyrs in Bayside, New York.
Wow.
Yeah. My mother was one of the founders there, yes. She was a ghostwriter, an Armenian reporter. She's a very low-key woman, but she was a dynamic woman. And my name that I go through with my Armenian name, with the Armenians will know, is Johnny Hovagimian. So Soyak is our business name. When my family came over through Ellis Island the proper way, and we had our situations go that situation there.
And then you end up in Fresno and LA where all the other Armenians
I love Fresno.
migrated.
I've been coming out to Fresno over 30 years, and I love this place. The change, the restaurant, the
change
culture.
is very impressive.
Oh, the agriculture that's going on. Real good, strong people out here. Real people. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then because holidays are coming, I know this is a weird question, but people like weird things. Do you guys engrave and do special stuff on your bottles? Either one of you guys? People want names or something bizarre.
I mean, I've never heard that.
Well, if it's a large enough order, because we get tapped in with a lot of celebrities and stuff like that, and they always want to do something extra special. Yeah, it's just to move things around on production.
Yeah,
it's a big volume ticket to get something.
Well, I know.
redone.
Yeah, some businesses like to put their label where it's like their own or something.
we
put
can
on
do
that.
that.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys do stuff like that.
Yeah,
okay.
we can definitely do that. As long as they come up with their own label.
Okay.
So
we need to hit you guys right away for the holidays, right? This is where we kind of have
we
to
were
jump.
talking, and Johnny and I were talking, and we want to kind of team up. I think we would,
Definitely.
and maybe go around to the nicer restaurants and say, hey, let's put on a dinner. Let's do the wine.
Tastings.
Let's do
I
the
want to
cognac.
come. When's this
Tastings.
event going to be?
We're going to let you know,
Yeah.
and you're going to tell everybody about it.
Yeah, because I
How
think
about that?
and people need it'd be good if everybody could put
And
a
you're
vote
going to be
in.
there.
Sure.
Yeah, if people could put a vote and say, I want this, I like this and that, because sometimes people don't know. A lot of people that are older don't want to change in their businesses. So it's really cool to get people to be like, no, this is the kind of stuff I want. This is the kind of stuff we're happy that's in Fresno, that we can come have a classy
Absolutely.
night.
And one step even further, we'll help raise money for a foundation. If you have a foundation that you want to help raise money on, we do a lot of social media as well, so we can get the word out and maybe get some celebs here. A very good friend in town, Rodney A. Grant, very good friend of mine, that basically was with Dancing with Wolves. They called him Wind in His Hair with Kevin Costner. Good friends with Gary Busey. A lot of different celebs, right? You never know who we might just whip up to come out here. Maybe even Chaz.
I wish Chaz would come.
Should
We
come
want
out.
Chaz.
He's got to come out.
We need Chaz. Let's go, Chaz.
Yeah, Chaz is a cool cat.
That's what we'll start. We'll start. We sell so many bottles. Chaz will come out. I think we should start
No,
that.
he will.
Yeah.
But we got to make something happen.
We got to make something happen.
We got to
I
make
love
something
that.
happen for him to come out.
So what's your social media? Where can people get active with you and order?
Johnny Soyak at Facebook. This Soyak, Johnny Soyak. And then on Instagram is Cigar in the Bottle. They can reach us at cigarinthebottle.com.
That's great. So now you guys have both our social media.
Thank
So you're going to drink up. Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Thank you for having
thank
us,
you.
Sparkle.
Are you kidding?
You're
Perfect.
the best.
Okay.
One more time, salud.
No, we need
Salud.
seconds. I pounded mine.
Double. Oh, I can. Let me pour you another one. Hold on. Let's go. Absolutely.
My producer is getting antsy right now. He's like, see what I was drinking.
We'll get him a
Here's
couple
the
of shots.
producer.
Cheers, guys.
Oh, than this.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh, I must confess, dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you, and I don't want your loving, I don't wanna be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend.
It's a mystery.
Hi, I'm Sparkle Sujan, and I am the host of the Everything Sparkle Show. I would like to invite you to come and hang out with me every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern, as I interview the world one guest at a time. Everything Sparkle is available on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and CMAC.tv. Plus, if you're in the Central California area, you can watch on Comcast Xfinity Channel 93 or AT&T UVerse Channel 99. Hope to see you there.